Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Blair, or the Illuminati, and I know you've read the title and I know why you're here. Well, you already know the craziness we're about to get into today. Now, here's the thing. When I put out my first Jilly Juice video, I tried to summarize just about everything that happened up until that point. She had a book, she appeared on Dr. Phil, and her YouTube videos were, well, they were interesting to say the least. The contradictions that she made throughout many of her videos, statements, books, whatever, it was so bizarre that it was almost laughable. Almost. These things would be laughable if they didn't actually harm people, and there weren't hundreds of desperate individuals out there taking Jillian at her word. So anyway, why is there another Jilly Juice video, you might ask? Well, today we're going to be diving even deeper into the Jillian craze and what goes on inside her mind, and how. How are we going to do this, you might ask? Well, I did something I'm not proud of. I bought her new book. Yep, the one that came out this year, 2020, in June. And, you know, the long-awaited The Evolution of the Jilly Juice Protocol book, and long-dreaded maybe, I don't know. This one wasn't available online, and so I had to buy it through Lulu, and I had the extreme displeasure of reading it. All 98 pages. Well, sort of. I admit I skimmed through some parts because my brain was literally melting, but yeah, here it is. Let's take a look at the updated Jilly Juice protocol and why this is even more insane than the original protocol, if that could even be such a thing. So let's get into it. So even just from the chapter outline, Jillian's book is something. One chapter is called To Diet or Not to Diet. Like, the fuck is that supposed to mean? Am I supposed to be questioning if I want to die on this juice or not? And what the hell is chapter 8? Unintended benefits? Jillian claimed on Dr. Phil, if you'll recall, that it was entirely within the realm of possibilities that her juice could regrow a finger or even a limb. So what is the unintended benefit that this finger could just grow super strong, or maybe it's gonna have really nice skin? Jillian claims this juice can cure everything under the sun, and we're gonna see that in just a bit. So I don't get how anything can be an unintended benefit when literally everything is marketed as curable with this shit. Alright, so the preface. I apologize if this doesn't seem all that high quality, me just showing you a photo of a book here, but again, this wasn't available online as far as I could see since it's so new, and I wanted you guys to be able to see what I'm reading at times. Mostly just so you know I'm not bullshitting, because some of this just sounds like I must be making it up. So there's a few issues I have with this, and one is that she says the idea of infinite life is not new, but the mythology behind her ideas is very new. Drinking salty cabbage water is a new idea. It's almost like she's trying to sound like she implements cutting-edge technology here when it's really not. We will dive deep into Jillian's ideas later, but for now, let's keep reading. White table salt, she writes, has been demonized for a reason. White table salt. Like, what? What? And why is it all capitalized? I would get why if it were a brand maybe and it did something bad, but do people normally just capitalize salt? I mean, I guess according to Jillian, salt has been demonized because it is a powerful, energizing mineral most people do not want to experience. Like, ma'am, this is salt. How can she say that most people don't want to experience salt? Does that mean that I have superpowers if I ate just like a little bit more salty potato chips or something? Like, most people eat salt every day. Table salt is in a shit ton of foods. I'm honestly struggling to think something that salt isn't in to some capacity. But she says most people don't want to experience salt when dealing with symptoms of illness. So like, does this mean that the second you get sick, you just immediately cut salt out of your diet? Like, what? She also says she's introducing us to the concept of indefinite life, as we've never seen it before. Yeah, I've heard of immortality, ma'am. I've also heard about the concept of flight, but that doesn't mean I'll be jumping off the roof anytime soon. All of this is on page IX, not even page 1. We're still on the preface. And look, if no one believed her, I probably wouldn't even get into this. It would just be a pitiful, deluded story of a woman seeking attention. But since people do actually try this, well, here we are. Chapter 1. Balancing energy of body, mind, and spirit. Jillian starts by opening our eyes with this mind-blowing statement. Everything is energy. Yep, atoms are a thing. This is in fact true. I mean, she might as well just say gravity exists. But okay, her second sentence, the second sentence, is a quotation. It's not even from her. So I go to the back of the book to see who she's sourcing, right? And it's... God help me. It's bad. It's just links to websites and, like how you would be like, hey, grandma, can you send me a link? And she mails you a piece of paper with the website URL written on it or something. That's literally what Jillian did here. Like, babe, you can't click on this. You're supposed to credit the author, the one who put the article together or the association that published it, when it was written, the title of it, like all that good stuff. But Jillian just like, nope, just fucking copy paste website. There we go. Sourcing done. This is just hilarious because it's one thing if you are quoting it and just kind of copy pasting website links for a digital source, because then that person is able to click on your source and go to the actual place the sourcing came from. But in a book, you can't really do that. So anyway, after that hilarious discovery, Jillian poses the question why death energy is the bad energy, doesn't answer it, and then says she had to prove her belief about the mind and body being connected. And this is how you know you're dealing with a top-notch researcher, when they start off a book saying that they have to prove their own bias. That's just the definition of confirmation bias. She doesn't even go into this stating, I wanted to learn about how this was connected and here are my findings. Nope, it's I wanted to go into this to prove what I already thought. What's interesting after this 2-page long chapter 1 is how Jillian continued the first few chapters. What she does is actually quite manipulative, mixing in the truth with her own theories. She takes definitions and articles from her sources, but only provides what she wants about them. And I mean, I will not pretend that all of her sources are unreliable. Britannica, the National Center for Biotechnology Information, sources things that I've used myself. But that's after I read the entire article and not just picked and chose what suits my narrative. Like how on page 12 she says, there is no good or bad bacteria, only different kinds, and then sources UCMP, the University of California Museum on Paleontology, and their explanation of bacteria breakdown. So in order to verify her sourcing, I couldn't exactly click on the link, even though it's hyperlinked, but in a book, it doesn't work that way, honey. But I had to type in the link and got to the page about how, yes, there are different types of bacteria, but the UCMP never states that there's no bad bacteria. In fact, the same article she sources says this: most bacteria may be placed into one of 3 groups based on their response to gaseous oxygen. Aerobic bacteria thrive in the presence of oxygen and require it for their continued growth and existence. Other bacteria are anaerobic and cannot tolerate gaseous oxygen, such as those bacteria that live in deep underwater sediments or those which cause bacterial food poisoning. The third group, called facultative anaerobes, which prefer growing in the presence of oxygen but can continue to grow without it. So I find it odd how she's using a paleontology website to fit her definition when the site doesn't even say that there's no good or bad bacteria. Whereas if you go to the NCBI, another source she's used, they state that there are multiple roles for bacteria in the human body, and yes, surprise, that includes good and bad. I get that she may be trying to say that not all bacteria is bad, but to say that none of it can be good or bad is not supported by the websites and the sources she even uses. This isn't necessarily the most worrying thing Jillian says. This is just a really prime example of her putting words in the mouths of her sources. I get it. Misinterpretations happen, mistakes can be made, but again, this is throughout her entire book. Shit like this just continually happens again and again and again. However, on page 13, the very next page, I found an absolutely rage-inducing paragraph. So I'm sure most of you remember part 1 about how obsessed she was with killing parasites. That's all she talked about on the Dr. Phil show. It's what she said a ton in her first book, how you'll just poop out parasites. Parasites which, by the way, appear to be stomach lining more than anything else. It turns out she's gone back on that narrative completely, and I'm literally not joking. Here's what she says. In my last book, published in 2018, which has since been discontinued, I characterized parasites as something to fear, kill, and get rid of. I was under the impression that parasites were foreign objects that needed to be purged at all costs. This was incorrect. Like any form of biodiversity on this earth, parasites have a place and role. So Jillian designed Jilly Juice to rid the body of parasites and make you live forever. Now, rather than Jilly Juice being some magical purging nonsense, it's like drinking from the fountain of youth, and it's not meant to get rid of parasites? So does that mean if someone switches to white salt, which she's advocating for instead of pink table salt like she used to, they won't waterfall out parasites anymore? Just someone tell me where the logic is in this. If her juice still purges parasites because the ingredients haven't changed, won't people still shit out these, air quotes here, parasites? And now she doesn't want this to happen. So wouldn't the next step be to just stop drinking Jilly juice? She goes on for a while on this weird tangent that just doesn't really make much sense at all. She calls antibiotics anti-life and says if you practice killing things in your body, you are killing yourself. I mean, if I have cancer cells alive and thriving inside me, then yeah, I'm gonna want to get into the habit of killing them. But apparently, according to Jillian, if I do that, I will guaranteed die, so I guess chemotherapy is a lie, according to her. I mean, seriously, I want to understand where she's coming from. I'm not trying to attack every word. It's just all so all over the place, and just like her book, I really get the impression that Jillian is just trying to speak over people's heads and quote legitimate-looking sources just to seem more legitimate when she's not. The other thing Jillian writes about is the cycle of life. She says humanity is stuck in a loop, and then shows a diagram about how birth leads to aging, aging leads to illness, illness leads to death, and death leads to birth. So we're now talking about reincarnation and how death leads to birth. I get what she's trying to say. We're all born, we grow old, we get sick, and we die. But the way she talks about this is as if we need to break the cycle. Like, this is the fucking cycle of life she wants to break here, talking about how the human body has indefinite life if only we tap into the energy of salty cabbage water. And yet somehow, it's just gotten more ridiculous. She also says how pain is an indicator of imminent life or imminent death. So I guess by that logic, if I step on a Lego, I am either more alive than ever or I am going to die. So sure, maybe some skin tissue gets damaged, but that doesn't mean everything is just straight up dies once it's in pain. I'm pretty sure my red foot would be back to normal in a minute. It's not nearly as intense and black and white as Jillian makes it sound. It sounds like she's fear-mongering. And again, if she actually checked her own sources and what the professionals actually say in the things she quotes, pain refers to the product of higher brain center processing. It entails the actual unpleasant emotional and sensory experience generated by nervous signals. How she defines pain and how medical professionals define pain are completely different. She'll agree with the same source about the definition of cells, but ignore any further logic about how the body works. The only way I can think to describe this book is like, if you give someone a bunch of wood, screws, and tell them that they're building blocks for a chair, they'll agree with you, like, yes, these are building blocks for a chair, but then completely ignore the instruction manual, fight you every step of the way, and then end up with a table instead. And a table that's missing one leg, by the way. And Jillian agrees with reputable sources on the building blocks, the basics of what biology actually is, and that's how she gets people to trust her in the first place, with a little white lie to reel them in and then just sinks them down whatever the Jilly Juice hellhole is. She then ignores all logic and reasoning and ends up with one hell of a shitty table, honestly. And then other people who also can't read instruction manuals are now also confused by the science of creating a chair and also create shitty tables too. So the same thing happens on page 26 and 27 of her book. Jillian talks about cancer. She says it comes from imbalances in your microbiome and then has a quotation beneath it. Cancer is the uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells in the body. Cancer develops when the body's normal control mechanism stops working. Old cells do not die and instead grow out of control, forming new abnormal cells. These extra cells may form a mass of tissue called a tumor. Some cancers, such as leukemia, do not form tumors. But once again, if you go to the source Jillian listed, which is the Cancer Center, by the way, there is absolutely nothing there about a microbiome. If cancer was caused by imbalances in your microbiome, wouldn't the fucking Cancer Center of all places say that? A microbiome is just a community of organisms living in your body. That's literally what it is. And yet, the way that Jillian talks about microbiomes, you'd think she discovered something crazy and new. And not to mention, imbalance in the microbiome has a specific term that I haven't seen her use as of this section: dysbiosis. According to the NCBI, one of her sources, dysbiosis is linked to one form of cancer. It doesn't cause literally every single cancer out there. Yes, it can cause a variety of ailments, but the NCBI and her don't agree about how many nor how it's treated. One article on their website says that dysbiosis has been implicated in a wide range of diseases, including inflammatory, bowel disease, obesity, allergic disorders, type 1 diabetes, autism, obesity, and colorectal cancer in both human and animal models. And another article goes on to say how therapeutic and probiotic treatments were the most effective and showed promising results. And these treatments, by the way, not salty cabbage water. So yes, this is a thing, but every article on the NCBI website I came across on this topic, and there are plenty, they knew better than to make the irresponsible blanket statement that dysbiosis causes cancer. So now that we've covered Jillian's sort of like science portion of the book, or novel, I should say, we're about to get into the geopolitics side of things because, yeah, that's a thing. Because not only does Jillian give medical advice, but now she gives advice on the political effect of geography. I'll start by saying the graph on page 31, hilarious. Birth, then maturity, the graph of indefinite life. When I was going through and underlining a few points and circling pages, I just wrote, lol, what? In the margin here because it makes no sense to me. Like, what am I actually looking at? So you're just trying to tell me that you're just born and then you mature, but maturing is a straight line? Does she actually mean like mentally maturing? What is this a graph for? Is this a graph of immortality somehow? I just don't know. What this is, if we really needed more evidence of this, is that just Jillian treats her own opinion and the little graphs she's made with no actual evidence or numbers as like factual stuff when it's not. On page 33, she even goes so far as to say she agreed with an agent from the FTC when we saw her blatant, bold attitude in her first book on the internet and on Dr. Phil. Jillian's YouTube is way too long for me to sift through again, but she said numerous times to just drink Jilly juice, it'll cure everything. I hardly think I need to go further than this clip where she states in no uncertain terms that if you only had Jilly juice and McDonald's, you could live forever.
If you only had J juice and McDonald's, you could live forever.
I'm not manipulating her words here either. She says this on a public platform on YouTube that if you only ate McDonald's and drank her juice, you could live forever because her Jilly juice is apparently that nourishing and will give you immortal life. So nuggies and Jilly juice equals immortality. This just in. But going back to page 33, this FTC agent, she says, instructed me to change my advertising on my website or face heavy fines. He said there were no absolutes when it came to cures and remedies. If I wanted to advertise Jilly juice on a public domain, I had to change my wording. I agreed with him on that point, that Jilly juice is not a cure because cures are temporary and not guaranteed. The only absolutes in this world are life and death or how energy is transferred and converted. So, Jilly juice is not a cure, guys. It'll just make you immortal. And she even says right there at the bottom of page 33 that the answer to all of this is just salt. So 2 questions here, obviously. 1, why the cabbage water? And then 2, why isn't every person who loves salt just living forever? I guess agreeing with the FTC agent was kind of a lie too, because she agreed with changing her wording on a public domain, but here she is, claiming she's got the key to immortality. Jillian has just gone so far off the rails, so deep into her own bullshit, that rather than admit she's wrong and try to salvage some piece of reputation from this, she's dug her heels in and taken back the cure-all claim and switched it to a live forever claim instead. When she inevitably does die one day, like, what's gonna happen then? How can anyone who's followed her believe her then? I guess it won't technically matter because she's dead at that point, but still, like, come on. She's also posting a lot more too. I don't know if quarantine got to her or what, but on July 23rd, she posted 5 videos in one day. Just hours of rambling, repeating the same types of things over and over and over again. She's often posting twice a day. On July 17th, it was like 8 times. And honestly, I'm almost starting to feel bad for even covering this topic because something just maybe isn't quite right with her own like mental state. This just doesn't really seem like normal behavior, and I obviously cannot and will not attempt to diagnose anyone because I'm not going to pretend that I have a medical degree that I don't, Jillian, but her wording and her beliefs are cultish and legitimately worrying. On page 36, she writes that the reason you cry salty tears is because salt is the energizing force to purge trauma such as stress and antigen from the body. In actuality, it's because of the sodium and other minerals that our eye needs to wash away bacteria and keep our eyes moist. Not because we have actual fucking table salt coming out of our eyes in some energizing force field or something. After that, she gives instructions on how to make Jilly juice, again, with little scientific quotations to seem more legitimate when she's purposefully misinterpreting the language. Then she talks about what to expect and explains the waterfalls, which, yep, it's gross and it's just violent diarrhea. After that, we see a list of things that can be cured on Jilly juice, but again, remember, She won't call it a cure-all anymore, despite there being like every fucking thing under the sun on this list. Then, on page 63, she just straight up lies. It's just a lie. Listen to this. Jillian says, when I was researching on the internet looking for benefits of sugar, I kept seeing headlines like the dangers of too much sugar or sugar causes cancer and so on. Article after article kept repeating the same mantra how dangerous sugar is. It reminded me of my discovery on how salt is often demonized. So, can sugar be demonized? Sure, absolutely. But I really have to question Jillian's apparent research if this is what she found. Seriously, open a new tab or a new window or something, Google benefits of sugar, and I'm seeing plenty of benefits. Which types of sugars are good for you? How much sugar to have? Lies we should unlearn about sugar. 5 benefits to it. Nope, I don't see a single headline that says sugar causes cancer when I type in the benefits of sugar. That's not to say that sugar is never demonized, but she does make it sound as if she's stumbling on this new discovery here. Like, no, Jillian, you're not. Sugars serve their purpose in the body just like everything else. Stop lying and misinterpreting factual information to trick people. After reading Jillian spout some more nonsense and call this safe for pregnant women, the book ended. But I wasn't done there. In the beginning of her book, Jillian says if you email her a copy of your receipt, proof that you purchased this, she'll invite you to a private Facebook group. So, you know I had to do it on them. So, I made a fake Facebook account. Jillian friend requested me, and yep, I got in. My fake Facebook account became a member of the Jilly Juice Facebook page. And it's horrific. It's just as hellish as I thought it would be. Now, before I continue, let me say that I'm not going to include names or photos of anyone in the group except Jillian. It is a private Facebook group, so I'm not going to put their names out there. I debated including this because, again, it's a private group, but at the same time, I wanted to know just how dangerous Jillian really was and how many people truly believe her. I scrolled a ways back, and at first, it was all sort of the kind of stuff you would expect. A video that links to YouTube, reposted on the page that says 98 pages to keep humanity alive in reference to this book. It felt like 1,000, honestly, but 10 of those, Jillian just, freaking links. Whatever. But yeah, then I got to the worrying stuff. One testimonial Jillian posted was, "You sure are a thorn in the sign of those trying to do population control, but seriously, I keep getting younger and younger." Well, I found the person that posted that testimonial on their page. Again, not showing it, it's private, but all their photos are public now, and this person doesn't look younger and younger. They look to be a woman maybe in her 40s that may have learned to moisturize her skin a bit more. And hey, nothing wrong with that. You can find skincare at any age and begin your skincare journey. That's awesome. I'm not going to be bashing her appearance here, but I'll take a wrinkle or two over drinking salty cabbage water that could give me a stroke. Anyway, the woman posted a photo of her daughter drinking Jilly juice while holding her nose. The caption said she did it of her own free will. She added pomegranate juice because she loves it. She's 9. That's pretty despicable. So it's confirmed then, yes, people are in fact having their children drink Jilly juice. I won't show the photo of the child, obviously, but it's a big ass drink, and she's holding her nose in the air like that shit stinks, which it probably does. It's not just kids either, though. One woman posted on the page how she put drops of Jilly juice in her dog's eyes. I literally want to fucking cry right now, honestly. This is animal abuse. Salt dehydrates your eyes and stings them. Just think about how it might sting when you open your eyes underwater in an ocean. Now, imagine this poor dog suffering with salty cabbage water in its eyes because their owner is fucking deluded. This poor animal. So about this group, there's about 435 members when I kind of hopped in there, and it doesn't seem like many of them were active, but there's 435 members that signed up to see this shit. Jillian posts how, "We've had a flu vaccine for 78 years, we still have the flu, are you awake yet?" as if the flu doesn't evolve and there aren't different strains of it. She also uses the hashtag Dr. Phil used for some of her posts, which is just weird. Like, he called you out and said you're insane, but okay, go on and reinforce that. There's also posts that say resistance is futile, and she even reminded the group on July 1st that the JJ group is not a dating site. There's so many weird posts about love too. She goes off on a tangent about 90 Day Fiancé and unconditional love. Like, one post even says how my next book I'm going to be writing about the predator-prey dynamic that starts out in your youth and gets reinforced by the education system and politics, religion, and science. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I can bear to read it. I don't think I can go through the pain again. This was a lot already. Jillian also poses the question on her page, are deadbeat dads really deadbeat dads, or were they smart enough to know that the pregnancy came from an imbalanced relationship and they didn't want to shape an imbalanced child? So yeah, let that one sink in. It is an absolute shit show inside that Facebook group, and it's laughable, but it's also pretty sad. I'm pretty sure that a dad not taking care of his child can't just use the reason, oh, he's not comfortable with the relationship with his partner, because that's when you either work on that relationship with your partner or you leave them, but continue to support and love your child like a good parent should. But yeah, I left a few likes on some things, so I looked like a real member and wasn't removed, and that's about it. The Facebook group is full of people posting photos of their journey, and I've got to say, no one there's regrown a finger. No one's posted legitimate proof or evidence that Julie Juice has cured anything, actually. No one survived a fatal accident because they're immortal now, so I guess the fact that none of them have died is reason enough for Jillian to believe that she may have the key to eternal life. God. But with all of that being said, I was done with this book, like very done, like set it on fire levels of done. Jillian is as bad as ever, even worse possibly. I feel horrible for that child and that dog, and there's probably a few other people out there that obviously didn't post or share this information that may have done these kinds of things too. So please, for the love of all things beautiful in this world, don't just blindly believe someone out of desperation alone. Even because someone is sourced doesn't mean they'll be perfect all the time. You've got to make up your own mind and do your own research and confirm the research itself at times too, and really look at the sources. And don't ever drink salty cabbage water. It's not the key to immortality. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section because my brain is most certainly a little bit more than melted because of this video. If you guys want to see some other content from me, probably less mind-boggling than this, links for all of my social media and my other YouTube channels are down below in the description box, as well as all my sources. So thank you guys so much for making it to the video. Love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!